Welcome back. You're with us at Commodity Champions. We'll talk about silver now, and that also seems to be soaring on the higher side. In the international markets, we are trading at a 14-year highs. We've seen $41.50 an ounce onto that one, and that's not all. Silver has gained a big 43% in this year alone on expectations of interest rate cuts from the US Fed, a softer US dollar, and declining Treasury yields all have aided the metal's rise. Joining us in the discussion now is Michael Terenzio. He's President and CEO at the Silver Institute. Michael, hi. Thank you so much for joining in. Wishing that you were here in Bombay as well. But how are you?
I'm doing great. I wish I was there as well. It's great to see you, Manisha. Philip, good to see you as well.
Likewise.
Michael, while of course we've been talking about gold with Philip, but silver, I mean, that's another one. 14-year highs, not too far away from its all-time highs. And almost everybody seems to be believing that we could see an all-time high this year or next. How are you watching the prices?
Well, we're keeping a very close eye on it. And we think we're in the middle of a secular breakout with respect to silver. I mean, the rise this year alone of some 43% has been quite remarkable. It's being fueled by all those points you mentioned, but it's also being fueled by a focus on green energy across the globe. It's being focused on the investment side of the equation, especially with ETPs and in India with ETPs. So look, it's firing on all cylinders at the moment, and we're very bullish going forward.
You know, while of course gold has been gaining because of the safe haven demand, silver also in addition has the deficit, the industrial demand, and most people seem to believe that silver perhaps will outperform gold going forward. How are you looking at the way silver is doing? The physical buying, the investment buying, the ETF buying, as you mentioned, has been on the stronger side as well. Are you willing to put out a number, Michael, on where the silver could be this year, next year?
I will leave that up to Mr. Newman and some of the banking analysts to give a final number, but everything is pointing north. I can say that. Many investors are looking at the deficit. We're in the middle of our 5th consecutive year of a deficit. And while it may be a little bit smaller than in previous years, it's still a deficit market. Only recently, 2 weeks ago, the United States identified silver as a critical mineral, which means its importance to national energy, national strategic and defense applications have been identified by the U.S. government as a critical mineral. Many investors are looking at the deficit, but I think they're looking more long-term too. When you look at the metal, you look at the investment purposes of the metal, you're seeing strong ETP, a little weaker on the physical side, especially in the United States, but India is picking up, as Philip mentioned earlier, with respect to gold in Germany. Silver is picking up there as well with respect to bar and coin sales and demand. So we're quite bullish on the year, as I mentioned, and we're looking forward to continuing this trend, hopefully.
Michael, as you mentioned that, well, yes, there is a lot of buying that we've seen, and US adding it into the critical list just gives it that fillip. But apart from that, we also have news reports that Russia is buying it for its central bank. Saudi Arabia could be doing that, and more banks perhaps could be adding silver in addition to gold.
Well, that's very encouraging. Last year in 2024 in December, Russia announced that it would be looking at silver as potentially an acquisition for its central banks, and other countries are doing the same. I don't have any verification that that's taken place so far, but it's encouraging that banks are looking, or central banks are looking at silver as another alternative asset to put on the books.
How are you looking at the Indian demand going forward? Because as far as gold goes, it does seem strong. When it comes to silver, do you see it stronger?
We see it being very strong this year. We see it very strong, especially on the investment side, the jewelry side. The silverware side is slipping just a little bit, but I believe that's because of the high prices of silver in India. But we were in India in April. Everybody seemed to be in a very good mood. There was a lot of OEMs, jewelers, other manufacturers, and even mining companies at the India Silver Conference, and the mood was quite bright. And we think India, again, will be one of the central countries in this remarkable year for silver.
Philip, getting you in this conversation as well. And as Michael said, price is something that he let you talk about. So what is your sense? Where is the buying coming from? And what's your sense on prices?
Well, I think to add to what Michael was talking about from an investment standpoint, you look where ETFs are globally. India, yes, has been strong globally as well. And even though we're just below those record highs from a volume standpoint, in value terms, we are at record highs in terms of ETF positioning. So I think that's very encouraging. And so from a price, we do think prices can strengthen from where they are. And we think that will continue into 2026 as well. Mm-hmm. And I think what's really positive from a price standpoint is the fact that, when we did break out just through 30, get into the mid 30s, that it held those levels. So the mid 30s became a very credible point. And even as we get into the very high 30s, into the 40, again, it seems to have held that. So I think that's very encouraging looking ahead as well.
Philip, how would you read those reports which suggest that silver could go to 50 and 70 and 80 and triple digit in the coming years?
I think $50 is quite feasible. If you're looking at very high threes or potentially even gold beginning with a 4, we always think that silver, when gold prices are doing well, it should outperform to the upside. We haven't seen that just yet. So I think if gold does get to those points, you could see some positive spillovers into silver. Perhaps some investors saying, what, gold's done very well. It's time now for silver. And so if that money does flow in, given it is a smaller market from a value standpoint, then 50 is feasible. I'm not quite sure what year that would be, but I think that is, potentially on the cards.
Michael, how would you look at the demand trends going forward from here? That's a question that I put to Philip as well in sense of gold. And yes, this seems like a changing market. And if the prices do balloon up further from here, would you say that that would really change it strategically on how silver is bought as well as investment?
As an investment, absolutely. I do agree with you. When you look at the overall demand side and just taking industrial demand, it may not post another record year, but it's going to be darn close to the number of ounces, 680 million ounces of industrial demand in 2024. So we're looking at China, we're looking at India, we're looking at the United States. We're seeing silver being incorporated more and more into data centers, into AI, of course, into solar panels, electric vehicles. The electrification of everything is leading to greater demand for silver. And that's something that's just not going to go away. We're not going to return, in my opinion, to a fossil fuel-based economy on a global scale. So silver has a critical role to play going forward, and it will lead to greater demand for the metal as the years go on.
So while, Michael, we are into a 5th year of deficit, how longer do you think that we will see this deficit of a situation continue into 26, 27 or beyond?
That's very possible. Look, there are no new silver mining projects in the pipeline at a large scale. We may have a small increase in mine supply this year. Some smaller projects have come online. But quite frankly, until the mining side of the equation catches up and the demand side continues to move forward, we could be in a deficit for several years to come.
Philip, comment on the gold and silver ratio. That seems stabilizing now.
Well, we're still in, I guess, a relatively high 80s. So yes, we do seem to be stabilizing at that point. And I think it will remain broadly around there, at least for the next few months. So if gold does strengthen, silver will run with that, I would suggest to you. But I think as we move into next year, and perhaps even for 2027, to Michael's point about the deficits, we do feel that they will start to have an impact as well. And of course, the other thing I think is really important, looking about how much silver is held in London and how much is freely available, that's not allocated against the ETF, that is exceptionally low. We've only got about 20% there. So that's something also that we are watching. So that's something that could have an impact this year or next year. And so that could therefore bring that ratio down as well.
I have a final question for both of you, and this really is demand related, because from where the prices are, that really seems to be the next thing. A lot of people have bought and are absolutely happy for that, grateful as well. But some people have not bought and do not believe that they can now get into these markets. So what is the sense that you get, Philip, on gold first? Where are we standing in sense of buyers here?
Again, I think for buyers that if we do see some liquidation, they will be coming into the market. But even equally, if we start to run up, then I think they would come in fairly quickly before prices do move higher.
And what's your sense, Michael? You think people will start moving into silver now, given the fact that it's not too far away from all-time highs, but people have missed buying somewhere?
I think they will. When you look at the global economy, when you look at the wars and what's happening across the globe, the tariff situation. Philip spoke earlier about the potential for a rate cut in the United States. It's that in particular is encouraging for silver, but there's a lot of economic and geopolitical uncertainty, which is leading people to get where they are right now with silver, but there's a lot more room to run. And I think that other investors who may have been on the sidelines will jump into the silver market.
All right, a lot more room to run for gold and silver, both on the higher side here. So even as we are trading at all-time highs for gold and silver in the Indian markets and multi-year highs for silver and all-time highs for gold in the international markets, well, there is still more upside left, given the kind of global scenario that we are dealing with right now. If you're on sidelines, perhaps you'll get a chance to buy, but much higher rates from here is something that markets are talking about. Michael, Philip, thank you so much for joining in. You guys are a team, and it's always amazing, very interesting to talk to both of you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And with that, that's all the time that we have on Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.